See, anyone who does not understand that they're attacking Trump because he's a good guy has a mental deficiency. That it's very simple. You don't have to agree with all of his policies. There's some things he says I don't personally agree with. Fine, who cares? Of course, you don't have to agree with everything. The point is they're attacking him because he's on the good team. Because the reason they like weak people in power is because weak people can be intimidated and scared, which is why they want them to be in power. So when they go to these backdoor meetings, people walking into rooms and saying things, they comply with the true masters and they work for the person they're supposed to work for, which is to globalize finance and not their contingency, not their constituency. That's what they want. So having weak leaders is dangerous because weak people do the most evil. Because they're too scared to stand 100%. Up. They're too scared to stand up and fight against evil. It's really interesting that the world is so brutally simple. And truthfully, a lot of it comes down to the capability, or at least the propensity, or at least a lack of fear of violence. I was having a conversation with a girl, and she was saying that, men like wars, men go to wars. I was like, oh yeah, it's all men's fault. Men go to wars. Okay. You don't understand the world very much, but the world is war. Everything is war. And the reason you get to drive around in your little Mercedes and live in a peaceful society is because there's an underpinning of violence everywhere. Everyone understands that if they do certain things, eventually will end up in a violent scenario. If you speed on the highway and they give you a ticket and you don't pay the ticket and they add more money and you don't pay it and they tell you to go to court and you don't go, and then they come and say, come to go to court, and you say no, they'll come to arrest you and you say, I don't want to be arrested. And then eventually violence. We have all this paperwork on top and we have all this nice facade, but when it gets down to it, it ends up in violence. It doesn't matter if it's the legal system or your life. I'm sure you try and talk to somebody and I don't want to get in trouble. Yeah, it all ends up in violence. This is the underpinning. And when you have men who are afraid of violence, then they're always going to have the opinion they're told to have. They'll say 2 + 2 is 5. And if you say it's 4, we're going to fight. If you're scared of a fight, well, then 2 + 2 is 5. And a fight doesn't mean win.
It means fight.
Fight means fight.
Right.
I can't win when the police raid my house. I mean, I could try and win and get in a shootout and die if that would be beneficial to me in any way. But I'm not scared of getting my ass kicked. Maybe that's the difference. Come, put me in jail then. And if you have enough people who aren't scared of even just losing a fight, you can win the fight. But we have so many people who are scared of fighting at all. The number of people who were saying COVID, yeah, I know it's a scam, but why is there a but? You know that's it. You know it's a scam. That's the beginning and end to me. And I was perhaps, now I think back, I was perhaps too risky during that period because I was nuts from day one before we even knew it was a scam. I was ready. If it was real, I'd be dead. I'd be the first guy to have died. Number one, I got on a plane here in an empty airport on an empty plane, the last plane out of Romania, and flew to Sweden, which was wide open. They never closed nothing. And I'm running around Swedish nightclubs with champagne like an idiot. So if it was real, I'd be dead on the ground. I'd be the first dead guy. Luckily, it turned out to be a scam, so I looked like a genius. So perhaps I was too brave. Perhaps I should have waited a while. But for 3 years, they got away with that because a bunch of people were like, yeah, but I don't want to lose my job, or I don't want to get in trouble, or what if the police knock on my door, or what if. Let them. Let them show their hypocrisy. If enough of you stand up and make them, they can't arrest everybody. They can't do it to everybody. There has to come a point in society where you sit and say, we know this is garbage. And this is what's actually most scary about America now, because I think America this year is going to be telling it's going to go down in history as a pivotal point in America, in the empire of America, because empires rise and empires fall. They brutalized the January 6ers. They got wrecked in courts. They brutalized them.
There's people in jail now. They haven't even been charged yet.
Oh, yeah. You're a grandma.
They've been sitting in there for 3 years.
Yep, you're a grandma, and you turn up with a flag at your own Capitol building. You don't even go inside.
And you don't even hear about it because the news won't report it. There's people in jail there that haven't even been charged with a crime for 3 years.
Correct. They've been brutalized.
Did nothing.
And they're showing, if you try and complain when we rig an election, this is what's going to happen to you. Well, that to me shows intent to rig elections. Perhaps I'm crazy. That's a pretty logical explanation, pretty logical conclusion. And we're getting there now, and they're trying everything they can do. So what happens? This is what's going to be interesting. This is going to go down in future when they discuss societal reactions, right? Everybody knows if they rig this election, Everybody knows if Trump doesn't win, it's rigged. They also know if you go on the street, you're in trouble. Are you going to do it? Or are you going to let them have it?
They're going to let him have it.
And that's the end of the American empire.
That's right.
And this is it. The cowardice is all they need. They've done their bit. They've shown their lesson. And there's not enough people who say, fuck it, lock me up. You can't lock us all up. You can't lock up 1 million of us. People are too scared. So they're going to go away. They're going to get it. And then you know what you're going to see? Now, this is going to break my heart. You're going to see a whole bunch of tough talk on Twitter. From bunch of, bunch of words. See a bunch of Republicans. I'm going to go to the House and I'm going to make this bill and we're going to investigate.
And then nothing happens.
Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Nothing happens.
Yeah. We remember this whole impeachment of Biden?
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, you don't hear. Last 6 weeks, I've had 3 racketeering cases. 3. 2 federal, 1 state. The evidence that's been brought about already on both Bidens, him and his son, that's a racketeering indictment without a doubt.
100%.
Without a doubt. There isn't even a doubt.
Yep.
Now, whether he gets convicted or not, that's all. I always believe you're innocent until proven guilty. You get your day in court.
Yep.
But can he be indicted? 1,000%. It's not even a close call.
Of course.
You got suspicious bank records. You got $20 million going into his family's accounts.
Yep.
What product did they sell? Yep. What service did they provide? Nothing. It was influence peddling.
Yep.
100%. This guy's a traitor.
Yep.
He's treasonous. He's a traitor, and he's the president of my country, and this is what's getting me. And people don't see it. They don't see it. 47 years this guy's been living off the taxpayer money. Never had a job in his life. Yep. Wealthy guy, robbing from everybody, which, okay, you want to rob money? Go ahead. Rob money. Yep. Do what you got to do. But now get out of here.
Yep.
You're destroying our country. You're destroying the whole world.
Yep.
This world is in chaos because of our president.
Yep.
There would be no wars. If Trump was there, there would be no wars. We wouldn't have a problem in the Middle East. We'd have a problem anywhere. I guarantee it.
Well, this is the thing, because Trump, people respect. And this also ties back. It's kind of amazing how you can tie anything from a governmental level just to the basics of life. I didn't have to fight in jail because they knew I could fight. Done.
Exactly.
Just you.
100%. You just said it.
Trump, no one wants to smoke. No. Biden's weak. So that's why the world's a mess.
DeSantis in Florida, they're having trouble with colleges all over the country. He said, very simple, we're not going to have it here. You do that, you're going to jail.
Yep.
End of it.
Fixed it.
That's it. Done.
Yep.
This doesn't take years. It doesn't take any amount of brilliance. Just fix it. Done. Fast.
And this is the problem with cowardice and with weakness. And it's kind of interesting because I study the rise and fall of empires, and no empire lasts forever. And before the American Empire was the British Empire, and before that was the Dutch Empire, and they all kind of end the same way.
Yeah.
The Roman Empire is one that everyone studied and understands. And you look at the fall of the Roman Empire, and it's not that complicated. The population became decadent. The men didn't want to fight anymore. When the barbarians would come, they'd say, we don't want to fight you. We'll let you in. You can be Roman too. Everyone got addicted to this idea of just getting slaves, whether sexual slaves or slaves they could sit around and do nothing. So they just let the barbarians in and hired them as slaves, cheap workers. They inflated the currency. And eventually it just all collapses on itself. It can't last for long.
Sounding familiar right now.
It sounds pretty familiar.